Hello, I am going to do a very brief spiel on why community. Like why do we care about community, and why is just having your family or your partner or your friends not enough? And I think that actually you don't need to have community, and a lot of people don't. And until you actually experience community, you might not even either know what's missing in your life, or yeah, some people don't need it. But I'm just going to speak to my experiences with having really good community, and also the benefits of a community, and like why it feels like to me without it there is something missing in my life. I don't know if I anyways, so first of all, like, I will say my experiences of community, I've only really had two, well, I've had two really amazing ones, and then I've had the standard ones that everyone has, which is like you go to school, you have your school community. If you go to work, there's kind of like a work community. But a really, really good community. My first one was the climbing community, and my second one is this like online network built in public Twitter scene. And what it feels like is a strong sense of belonging. Like, people who aren't just your 8, 15, 30 friends, they know you, they like kind of notice when you're not around. They kind of ask you like, oh hey, how's your dog, how's your kid. They kind of go, like they go like, hey Christine, like, how's it going today? It's like this kind of like small interaction, but they like recognize me, and it feels like a recognition of my existence in the world, and also like an embeddedness in the social fabric. It feels like I am connected to others. I am a part of the social fabric. So there's that. There's also, I would say, what's nice about a good community is that it feels like you have found your people. You're like, oh, I really like this culture. I like this community. I like these people. I like my like tribe in a sense. And another like thing that happens with that is it's like, I mean, for me, like, the good community experiences have always been global. It's like a global network. So when I travel, which I do a lot, I can, like, because especially when I was a kid, like, I was moved involuntarily, right, by like my family moving. And luckily, because I was a part of the climbing community back then when it was like a lot smaller, I could go to like China, I could go to the Midwest, I could go to California, I could go to South Africa, and I would access this like network of people with whom I have a decent chances of having mutual friends, like connections, like friends of friends. There's some like built-in trust. There's some knowledge of shared values and shared lifestyle. There's shared like cultural terms, lore, like, the same famous climbers. I recently was kind of on set for the film industry, and like we know the same like things to do, the same terms. And there's a real sense of like orientation in that, where you're like, oh, like, I can go wherever I go in the world, I can go to this kind of hub and have a sense of home. So it also, for me, feels like a strong sense of home, and yeah, like just home, belonging, my people, comfort. Odds of making friends are much higher. So that's one aspect of a good community. Another thing that I really like is because you have, I mean, it depends, right? Like, if you're, especially like in your immediate local community, let's say I'm always hanging out in this like, I don't know, writing community or whatever. For me, it's like this network of friends in New York City. Because there is this sort of built-in trust, I can ask for more favors and I can receive more benefits, and I'm more willing to help out someone, and I'm more willing to refer them or recommend things because of that trust. And so if someone's like, oh, do you know anyone who has a place to crash at tonight? I will be like, oh, I'll like easily sort of pass it along to my friends in this community, and they will sort of be more receptive because it's part of this same like cultural ecosystem. I think especially like religious, like people are like, oh, marry a nice Catholic boy or a nice Jewish boy, and that's because of the knowledge of that, like the shared values and shared lifestyle and whatnot. And so especially in like a really strong local community, one person in the community might be out of luck one day and they might need some help. They might need a place to crash. They might, I don't know, need to borrow $50. And so what happens often is actually that there is not anything available in your immediate friend circle of 8, 15, 30 people. And what happens is there's actually a ton of value stored in all of the weak ties. And so like, it's always surprising, but it works really well. One example, it might be like, oh yeah, like the mom who owns the local bar or something can offer you a place to crash that night. But like, maybe you guys aren't close friends and maybe you never hang out, but you guys see each other all the time and you're part of the same local community. And so she like trusts you, knows who you are within the context of that community, knows that there are people that she knows who vouches for you, and so on and so forth. There's also this example of like, I moved to New York City and it's not like I have tons of close friends, but I've already done so many like surprise collaborations on projects. Like I hosted a party with, and it's like not like my close friends necessarily, it's like people that are like, you know, like pals, you know. I'm like, oh, like this makes a lot of sense. I would love to host like this movie night, or let's do like a pizza party, like, you know. And it's almost like the level of a friend from class, right? And it's like, oh yeah, like there's enough connectivity to be willing to go in on things like that, which you wouldn't with like a stranger in the city. And so when you don't have this much, and the community typically ends up being like in the hundreds, right? As opposed to like 30. And so there's just a lot more you can like pull upon and use to pass and share resources, and yeah, it's just like really quite a great resource. And I think like church used to provide a lot of this. There's almost like also like this like rhythm, community rhythm, I think is present in really good communities where there's almost like a consistent collective co-regulation happening, where you're like, oh, it's this time of year and so we're going to celebrate this particular thing that is important to our community. Or like you know, there's a climbing season, we're all out projecting. Or like every Sunday we like get together and have brunch. I think like my favorite communities are a little bit more intentional in that way, and so it's like an awareness that there's a good thing happening and a desire to grow relationships and to help each other out and be supportive, and like these sort of norms help keep it really healthy. I think also community is a shared like one of the benefits or like values you might find in having this community that's like, you know, in the hundreds of people as opposed to your close 30 friends is like romance. So You might not want to date any of your 30 friends, but you might want to date one of the people who are in your friends, like in this larger community. And like, because, because communities often have like, I mean, ideally have like a semi-porous boundary, that means that newcomers are coming in all the time, and there's like this beautiful, consistent influx of some newbies that are kind of playing at the edges of the community, and they're kind of like, oh, like they're also drawn to whatever it is that drew this community together, whether that's like climbing or church or like a set of values or ideas. That always brings in interesting new people that is very like nourishing for the community, because now you have like new people that you meet and new friendships that you can make, and then there's people who leave too, and that's also fine, right? Like that also makes it okay. Like you don't have to have your set group of your squad and no one can leave, because there's just like a healthy semi-porous boundary. What else? Oh, right. So yeah, romance, I feel like feels like a really obvious one, where it's like, it's not that you can't find romance off of like Hinge, but you're just doing it on hard mode, because on Hinge you're literally like manually swiping through every stranger in like your area, whereas if you go by like your community, you have this shared like context, and again you like already know certain things about them. You're like, oh, we probably have certain like similar activities we do throughout the week, and you have some kind of common ground already. So it just makes sense that when you have a really strong community, that friendships and romances like bloom out of that shared like trust and common ground. I think something I've also seen that's really beautiful about a community is through this like mutually supportive shared resource, like sharing resources, and this through having a strong social fabric, you can often see a community evolve together. And so it's sort of like you create this collective organism, and you've been co-regulating, and everyone's sort of trying to better themselves. And through this collective striving, the entire community can grow up together and heal together. And so I've seen communities go from like a lot of like alcoholism to oh, this year they built this like center, or they built a house, and people helping each other out. And also when one person in this like web falters or lapses, that the strength of the fabric actually holds them, and as they like wriggle and cry out in pain, like there's actually this beautiful support network that can hold space for you emotionally. It can sometimes create fundraisers, like there can be a lot of love that is held through like the sum of the parts, that it's like insurance or something. But oh shit, I'm over 10 minutes by a lot. This is my ramble on community. I think I guess I'll say one more thing. Maybe this will be like a 20-minute one. Something that is interesting that is happening to me right now. So one thing I really like is being a part of a community, and not just being a part of a community, but like really caring and like being a pillar of a community and being a pillar of multiple communities, because I enjoy accessing different bubbles and not getting caught inside of like an echo chamber. However, it's almost like I have like a few separate communities, but then I have like a little cluster of communities over here, and this particular cluster of communities is like converging. And I find that really interesting right now, where I'm like, wow, like maybe it's because of the internet, maybe it's just the relationships, maybe it's because of people who maybe like me, like hop between communities and kind of like act like this messenger bird that shares news and events and whatnot. But like there's this convergence of communities happening, and I'm very interested to see how that goes, but I suspect that it works exactly like it does on the individual community level as it does on the individual level, which is that it is very like IFS, but like if you read my videos about watching videos about IFS, there's like this idea of you have like parts of you, and when they are all healthy and like flourishing, that you can achieve a lot of self-harmony. And similarly within a community, when the people are like sort of co-regulating, there's like a critical mass of like people who are in good places in their lives and they're helping each other, that community can flourish. And what I think will definitely happen is all of these communities that are flourishing and becoming more aware of one another, like their adjacent community, adjacent social circles, they can also collectively trade resources and become this like mega community that will support each other. And in a sense, that happens everywhere, but also this particular area feels to me right now like especially vibrant. I think, again, like there's like I've definitely experienced like lackluster communities, and then like really strong communities that have this really solid basis of trust, have shared like protocols, shared resources, and I wonder if that will happen next. So yeah, that feels satisfying for today. Thank you guys. Bye.